Good evening, Mayor and Council. Cindy Dorfsmith, 11-year Flagstaff resident. And I'm going to kind of take a different approach or bring up a different point than everyone else tonight. We were told that the main purpose of this nuisance party ordinance was to combat large parties and gatherings. So I have to wonder why this ordinance includes such a low and specific number of 5 people. This seems to intimidate small gatherings of friends and families who think they may be targeted. As Chief Treadway mentioned, this law is not intended to go after a small gathering of friends, a family barbecue, or a child's birthday party. I believe this language of this ordinance should reflect just that. I'm speaking to you tonight to suggest that actually removing the number completely, if you're not going to make any other change, would be a better way to go about this. Removing the number completely would allow the community to see it for this ordinance for what it is intended for, a tool to go after large nuisance parties that are out of control. Also, while listening to Chief Treadway's presentation, sitting back here, an additional thought came to my mind that why would something that's a nuisance of a gathering under 5 people not have that same penalty option of a civil penalty? Why would they be charged with a criminal only? So I think that a small gathering could actually be held more accountable or have a higher penalty if truly a criminal penalty is a more severe penalty. So that's my statement. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Orbitz.
I have a question that the speaker brought up, which is the number. A couple of people brought up, and you addressed it, Chief, the number of 15, but somebody brought up 0. Why not 0? And if any of you want to answer it, because you look at it and you say, well, you could have a wild party, I guess, at 4 or 3 people, but I was the one no vote on this because I've had a problem with that number. That number just. I see the need for an ordinance. I see a problem out in the community, but I've always had a problem with that number of 5. It just seems like we just picked a number. So I'm actually in favor of raising it to the 15, but I'm curious though. Someone brought up the number of 0. Why not 4? Why not 6? Some background.
Mayor, Councilmember Orvitz, Marianne Sullivan with the City Attorney's Office. When we did the research, when we came before you and you indicated to us you wanted us to bring something back to you, we looked at various ordinances across Arizona, across the country, including the ordinance in Rhode Island that was challenged legally. And looked at the different numbers. And when we did, the presentation and we did have those questions about the number, specifically from you, one of the main concerns obviously was for the officer safety and wanting them to not have to sit and count too many. It's very easy to tell if you have more than 5 people. And there were differences in other places. 5 seemed to be what a majority of the other ordinances did. But what we also did discuss at the time that this was passed was that was an option that the council could change as well, including the probationary period, including the time for notification for the property owners. So those were options within the ordinance at the time that we did discuss with you. As pointed out, the disorderly conduct statute itself, which is the criminal statute, a Class 1 misdemeanor offense, that was basically the option for officers to use prior to our shifting of the ordinance to the current state that it is now. It does just indicate that an individual who makes unreasonable noise with the intent to disturb the peace or quiet of a neighborhood, family, or person can be held criminally liable under that statute. So yes, it is just one. The 5, as we indicated, we wanted to have some demarcation because disorderly conduct unreasonable noise statute applies in a myriad of situations, not just party situations. It's used where you can have people disturbed by a family argument. It's used in the domestic violence context. So that particular state statute has a broad reach beyond just the parties that we're talking about here. And so when we were revamping our specific party ordinance and changed it from large to nuisance. Because you can cause a nuisance with just 5 people. And the focus was on causing the nuisance and people contributing to that nuisance, which is what our definition includes.
But I guess, and I know that's the number you put, but I guess you could have that same scenario at 4 or 3. So I guess, and I don't want to take up so much time here if there's not any support to change that number at all, but I guess I've always had a problem with that number. So I just, if you're trying to get the result, and I respect what you're trying to do, and like I said, there is a problem, and you guys do an awesome job in the community, but why not 0? I just, why is there a number at all is the challenge I have. And, I can live with I know there's a push to go from the 120 back to the 90, but, it's not a huge thing, but that number I'm just stuck on. But we've been down this road. I think I'm saying the same things I said last year.
That's correct. Any other questions?
Ms. Putzva, any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.